A 55-gallon emergency water barrel costs $60. It holds enough water for one person for 27 days. It cracks. It leaks. It breeds algae. It takes up half your garage. One baobab tree holds 32,000 gallons. It fills itself. It cleans itself. It lasts to millennia. It costs $4 as a seedling. The prepper industry sells you plastic because plastic needs replacing. A tree does not. This is the story of the baobab, the tree that drinks the sky and holds it in its body for 2,000 years. The survival tool that no one in the survival industry will ever tell you about. Welcome to the vault. The tree is Adansonia digitata, the African baobab. It grows across the dry savannas of sub-Saharan Africa, from Senegal to Madagascar, from Sudan to South Africa. Anywhere the rain comes hard for a few months and then vanishes for the rest of the year. Anywhere the sun can kill you if you have no water, that is where the baobab grows. Not in spite of the drought, because of it. And here is what it does that no other tree on earth can match. When the rainy season arrives, the baobab absorbs water through its root system and stores it inside its trunk, not in a hollow cavity. Inside the living wood itself, the trunk of a baobab is not dense heartwood like an oak or a maple. It is parenchyma soft, spongy storage tissue designed at the cellular level to absorb water the way a towel absorbs from a puddle. 75% of the mass of a mature baobab trunk is water storage. The wood exists to hold liquid. That is its primary biological function. A large baobab trunk diameter exceeding 12 meters, height reaching 25 meters, stores up to 120,000 liters. That is 32,000 gallons inside one tree. Not piped in, not pumped, not treated or filtered or stored in a manufactured container. Absorbed from rain, held in living tissue, available during drought. The tree fills itself every wet season and dispenses that water slowly through the dry months to keep itself alive. And for thousands of years, the people living near these trees have known something else. You can access that water too. You cut into the bark, water flows out, you drink it, you survive. This is not legend. This is not folklore, whispered around a fire. This is documented, studied, and confirmed. A 2018 study reported in Nature confirmed that baobabs use their spongy wood to absorb water during rains, sustaining themselves and the communities around them for months without rainfall. The Baobab Foundation in South Africa records that communities across the continent have relied on these trees as living water tanks for as long as oral history can reach. People have been drinking from the body of this tree for longer than any civilization currently standing has existed. But the baobab is not just a water tank. It is everything a human being needs to stay alive, hanging from one set of branches. The fruit, it hangs in hard gourd-like pods from the branches. Crack one open, and inside you find a dry, chalky pulp surrounding the seeds. That pulp contains up to 300 milligrams of vitamin C per 100 grams. Baobab powder, made from that same dried pulp, delivers 280 milligrams per 100 grams. That is 6 times more vitamin C than an orange, 6 times more potassium than a banana. It is high in calcium, magnesium, and iron. It carries antioxidants at concentrations that dwarf blueberries. And it is almost 50% dietary fiber. It is a complete survival food hanging from the same tree that holds your water. You do not forage across miles for it. You do not hunt for it. You walk to the tree that is already hydrating you and pick a fruit off the branch. The leaves are edible. Cooked across Africa the way you would cook spinach, boiled, stirred into stews, dried and stored as powder for the lean months when nothing else grows. The seeds press into cooking oil. The bark peels into long fibers that communities twist into rope, weave into cloth, and string into fishing nets and musical instrument strings. The hollow trunks of ancient baobabs have served as homes, storage rooms, shelters, classrooms, and gathering places. In Zimbabwe, one hollow baobab was large enough to shelter 40 people inside its trunk simultaneously. In South Africa, the Sunland baobab contained a functioning bar inside its living interior, tables, chairs, customers drinking inside a tree. A tree so large, it held a pub. One organism: water, food, vitamin C, cooking oil, fiber for rope and clothing, shelter large enough to live inside. Medicine, the bark and leaves, are used across the continent to treat fever, inflammation, malaria, and dysentery. For 2,000 years, entire communities have organized their survival around a single species. They call it the tree of life. not as sentiment, as accurate job description. Now here is the part that should change how you think about every piece of survival advice you have ever been given. In 1749, a 22-year-old French botanist named Michel Adanson arrived in Senegal. He was there to catalog the plants of West Africa for the French Academy of Sciences. And when he encountered the Baobab for the first time on the island of Sorhe, he understood immediately that he was looking at something the Western scientific world had never properly documented. He measured its trunk. He recorded its uses: water, food, fiber, medicine. He sent specimens in detailed accounts back to France. The scientific name Adansonia honors him to this day. He tried to tell Europe what this tree could do for human survival. Europe filed the information and moved on. Not because the science was unclear, because the tree grew in Africa. And in 1749, nothing that grew in Africa held strategic value in European eyes unless it could be extracted, processed, shipped in a cargo hold, and sold on a European market. The baobab could not be extracted. It could not be uprooted and containerized. It was too large, too slow, too deeply rooted in a continent that Europe was too busy extracting other things from to notice what was standing right there, offering everything for free. The knowledge was recorded. The knowledge was published. The knowledge was shelved. And for 276 years, it has collected dust, while the Western world built an entirely different answer to the question of water. That answer is plastic. The American prepper and emergency preparedness market is valued at over $1.3 billion in 2025 for survival tools alone. Emergency water tanks represent a $90 million market. Add filtration systems, purification tablets, water bricks, collapsible bladders, gravity-fed filters, shelf-stable bottled water, and chemical treatment solutions. And the total annual spend on emergency water preparedness in the United States exceeds several $100 million. The global bottled water market, the broader industry that profits from the simple act of putting water into a manufactured container, generates $457 billion per year. Every single product in that chain shares one trait. It is temporary. A plastic 55-gallon drum has a functional lifespan of 10 to 15 years before UV exposure and polymer fatigue compromise its integrity. The water inside must be rotated every 6 to 12 months, or treated with chemical stabilizers to prevent biological contamination. A gravity filter requires replacement cartridges every 6 months to a year. A purification tablet expires. A water bladder degrades. Every product in the emergency water pipeline is structurally designed to require repurchase. A baobab tree requires no repurchase. You plant it once, it grows, it fills, it holds 32,000 gallons. It dispenses when you cut into it. It heals the wound. It refills next season. It does this for 2,000 years. The oldest radiocarbon-dated baobab, the pang tree in Zimbabwe, lived approximately 2,450 years before it collapsed in 2011. That is a single organism providing water, food, fiber, medicine, and shelter from before the Roman Republic existed until 11 years ago. No manufactured product in human history carries a service life of 2,450 years. Nothing made by human hands comes close. And the baobab grows in the United States. Right now, today. Adansonia digitata thrives in USDA hardiness zones 10 and above. That means southern Florida, southern Texas, coastal parts of Arizona, Hawaii, Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, any frost-free region with warm summers and well-drained soil. Baobabs are already growing in Florida at the Fruit and Spice Park in Homestead. In private collections across Miami-Dade County and in experimental plantings throughout the Gulf Coast, they grow well on well-drained sites with faster growth and longer leaf retention than specimens in their native dry regions. The subtropical climate of the American South is functionally compatible with the West African savanna, where this tree evolved over millions of years. If you live in a frost-free zone, you can plant this tree. This week, for less than the cost of a single emergency water container from Amazon, here is what you do. Baobab seeds are available from tropical nurseries and online. Seed suppliers for between $3 and $8 for a packet of 5 to 10 seeds. The seed coat is extremely hard. Soak seeds in hot water for 24 to 48 hours. Or carefully nick the outer shell with a metal file to allow moisture in. Plant in well-drained sandy soil, about 1 centimeter deep. Keep warm above 75 degrees Fahrenheit consistently. Germination occurs within 1 to 4 weeks. Seedlings grow slowly in the first 2 years, 6 to 12 inches. By year 3, growth accelerates noticeably. By year 10, you have a substantial young tree beginning to develop its characteristic swollen trunk and water storage capacity. By year 20, you have a functional water-storing organism that will outlive your grandchildren and their grandchildren after them. If you do not live in a frost-free zone, grow it in a large container and bring it indoors during winter. Baobabs handle dry indoor air without complaint. They are desert-adapted by evolutionary design. A container-grown baobab will not reach the 30-2-1000-gallon scale of a wild African specimen, but it will produce edible leaves, demonstrate the same biological architecture, and serve as a living connection to a knowledge system that is 2,000 years old. For those in cold climates who are serious about scale, a greenhouse-grown specimen in an insulated structure is entirely viable. Now here is the thing that matters more than the instructions. The survival industry is not structured to solve your problem permanently. It is structured to manage your anxiety profitably. Every product on every shelf of every prepper store is engineered to degrade, expire, or become insufficient, requiring you to return and purchase again. That is not conspiracy. That is revenue model. You do not sell a second water barrel to someone whose first barrel still works, but you do when it cracks. You do when it leaks. You do when the chemical treatment expires and the water inside goes green. A tree that stores 32,000 gallons feeds you vitamin C, provides rope, fiber, offers medicine, generates shade, and lives for 2,000 years is not a product. It is an exit from the product cycle entirely. And industries do not promote exits. They promote re-entries back into the store, back to the website, back to the cart, back to the subscription. A customer who plants a baobab and never returns is not a satisfied customer to them. It is a lost revenue stream. That is why no survival channel mentions this tree. Not because it is exotic, not because it is impractical, not because the data is ambiguous, because the moment you plant one, you stop needing them. And a customer who stops needing is the only emergency the preparedness industry genuinely fears. The baobab does not care about any of this. It does not understand markets or quarterly reports or customer retention metrics. It just grows wide, patient, storing more water every season, producing more fruit every decade, getting older while everything manufactured around it crumbles. The Roman Empire rose and fell. The baobab stored water. The Industrial Revolution remade the planet. The baobab stored water. Your $60 plastic barrel cracked in the garage and leaked across the floor. The baobab stored water. In Africa, when the well fails, when the river retreats, when the rain does not come, they walk to the baobab. They cut the bark. They drink. They survive. They come back next year. The tree is still there, still full, still giving. Michel Adenson tried to tell Europe in 1749, the knowledge was published and shelved. I am telling you now, the tree exists. The science is confirmed. The seeds are $3 online. The climate zones align. The only barrier between you and a 2,000-year water supply is the same barrier that stands between you and every suppressed solution in this vault. The fact that permanent answers kill profitable questions. Plant the tree. Step outside the cycle. Let the plastic crack without you. Subscribe. Hit the bell. Share this with someone still buying barrels. The next vault opens soon. And what is inside it will cost them more than this one did.